What's up, everybody? We back with another message, another video. Thank you to all my new subscribers and future new subscribers. You know we do nothing here without God because everything is spiritually led by God over here. We cover the world from a spiritual and physical aspect to get the raw, real, and uncut answers. So anything you hear, anything you see in these end times, may you test the spirits, aka take the words and visuals back to prayer with God, as there are many Decepticons running around these end times sent from the enemy, had a strong, close, and personal relationship with God. Good, great, awesome. So you know we do the background, the prior word or words, then the event. So real quick here, previously, the Lord had given flooding to New York. And at the beginning of the summer, the Lord was explaining about California and New York facing mass amounts of judgment. So after the first time that it began to manifest and God had me speak on that, basically it was, a flood in one area. Now it's on the news, life-threatening state of emergency, like New York is getting hit by flash floods, life-threatening ones, and it's under a state of emergency. So that's like definitely not a coincidence. God is not playing. Starting off Sukkot, the Jewish holiday, with a bang, literally. So yeah. We're gonna get into the prior words in the event, and y'all just gonna get to see the continuation. And yes, we're gonna follow this for a while because there are brothers and sisters in Christ that live in New York, and to just know what's going on and to know that you're gonna be okay and don't have anything to worry about. Okay, you got God. You're gonna have to just watch these things unfold because God is not happy with the wicked, and He means what He say and say what He mean when He say He gonna deal with people and bring them to Him one way or another. They're going to have to make a decision, the enemy or Him. Okay? All right. So we're going to go into the prior words and then the events. Okay? Peace and blessings, and I will catch you all in the next one. Issues, in New York, I didn't even realize until the Lord brought to my attention days later after He gave me the last call for judgment word on June 29th. New York started to have issues with flooding and bad flooding. Okay? And this is just the beginning of what He's talking about. This is just the beginning. People ain't even seen worse than the worst. So please, when you see these things, be praying and repenting and getting closer to God, because this stuff is not going to stop. All right, Father, go ahead. California, I have warned you many times, in fact, several. Have you not learned from the massive and major floods? Many feet of continuous snowfall, yet you still pass laws or look to pass laws that go against what I stand for, my word, and the way you should be raising the children. The wicked will not last much longer. In this hour, there are many standing up against the enemy's agenda. Although everyone may not fully have me, they are resisting the enemy in some form, and that is the beginning of change in a positive light for them. But there are many choosing the side of the enemy, which will make you become my enemy. Understand that I am the same one, that Father, who ordered the death upon the unrighteous, the flooding of the earth. Do you understand that the same will occur by fire? I have given many warnings, many signs, many chances, yet people still defy and disrespect me and belittle my children for standing for what is right, the truth, my word, my living word. The death of many will occur. Many will not make it into 2024. Slow it down. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to make people realize who I am. From theft to crime to murder to gangs. God is about to shut it down and sit it all down. Have you seen the haze over New York? Because God is not playing. Idols in both California and New York. Celebrities have become idols in California. And the idols, the cities itself, like the cities have become idols. Statue. He is tearing down all idols. Okay? Again, righteous, you ain't got to worry about it. Just walk by faith and be obedient to the Lord. You're going to be all right. This ain't for you. So he's giving them warning signals. New York, clearly the same thing. So these cities full of crime.
A state of emergency. That's the declaration from the governor of New York as the state is inundated by constant rain that's led to flash floods and warnings in some areas that residents need to move to higher ground. Les Trent waded through this water world.
Chaos in the New York City subway system as heavy rain pounds the nation's largest city. These guys are actually using umbrellas in the subway. And it's not just the subways. This is what parts of LaGuardia Airport look like.
Oh my goodness.
This was the chaotic scene on the streets. Cars warily driving through the floods.
I am issuing a state of an emergency for New York City based on the weather conditions.
The mayor urged residents to stay in place or shelter at home.
Well, I was about to walk across the street and a police officer just drove by and said over his loudspeaker that I had to be careful because there are manhole covers underneath here that are actually open. So I'm glad I didn't make that attempt.
As New York becomes a water world.
As many as 23 million people are under.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on this Friday night. Tonight, the Big Apple is a big mess, and tens of millions of Americans are experiencing torrential rain and record flooding. Heavy downpours are expected to continue through the night and into Saturday in the Northeast, with remnants of Tropical Storm Ophelia lingering. Large parts of the nation's most populous city, New York, were paralyzed today. Subway lines turned into waterfalls and buses looked more like boats. Residents are urged to stay indoors as dangerous flooding covers entire neighborhoods. Record rainfall is falling across the city, with Manhattan's Central Park getting more than 4 inches in just 3 hours. We've got team coverage tonight, starting with CBS's Errol Burnett from a waterlogged Brooklyn. Good evening, Errol.
Hey there, Nora. Good evening. Look, the issue in this part of the country is that the ground is just fully saturated, with rain falling 17 out of the last 18 weekends and much of this last week. In fact, the historic rainfall in this part of the country is on par right now with a once-in-100-year event. Brooklyn was in the bullseye today, with a torrential storm overwhelming city streets. More than half a foot of rain fell, bringing with it life-threatening flooding.
If you are home, stay home. If you are at work or school, shelter in place.
Those floods made travel treacherous. Countless drivers were stuck when the water overtook busy highways. One driver seen with their legs out the window. CBS's Carolyn Gussoff is also in the flood zone.
Streets like this one flooded out, cars stranded. Officials are urging folks not to go out on foot or by car tonight. Many will be staying home out of necessity, drying out flooded basements and garages.
Commuters also navigated waterlogged trains and stations. Almost every New York City subway line is suspended or delayed. Cancellations also on commuter lines and Amtrak. Floodwaters overtook buses and this terminal at LaGuardia Airport, where almost a quarter of flights were canceled. JFK Airport seeing its wettest day on record, at least 8 inches of rain.
A dream I had September 3rd, okay? So in this dream, I was supposed to be going home because a major flood / storm was coming. And my friend had told me, you know that there's a storm coming, right? Like there's a major storm and then I got to get back to work, so I'll see you back home. So I was like, okay, well, we're not at home. So in the spirit, my thoughts in the spirit, I just knew that we were somewhere in the south of the country, you know. somewhere down south or like towards the middle, like in that area. And I felt the urgency to go home because something was coming. And so when I woke up, this is what the Lord had to say. More judgment is coming. Many will continue to face difficulties traveling. The storms will not ease up, my children.
Back in Brooklyn, parents rushed through the danger to pick up their middle school children early.
There's a big flood downstairs in the basement. There's chaotic in auditorium.
In Flatbush, one of the hardest hit neighborhoods in Brooklyn, Michael Earls showed his flooded basement.
We had a similar one last year, and then this is by far the worst.
Where ankle-deep water swept in, leaving this brown sewage.
When you see the images of the flooding, I would imagine there's a certain sense of panic as well.
Yeah, for sure. When you see brown water coming into your basement and you don't know when it's going to stop, it really makes you panic.
Meanwhile, New Jersey also remains under a state of emergency tonight as streets sit underwater, while parts of Connecticut are approaching 5 inches of rainfall.
And the rain just picked up again. The Grand Army Plaza subway station behind me remains closed tonight after it was flooded. I'm seeing plenty of confused commuters all around me. The mayor, the governor, and the Mass Transit Authority advise everyone to just use extra caution getting anywhere.
As we come on the air, a nightmare commute home is underway here in the nation's biggest metropolitan area, virtually paralyzed today by flooding rains. New York City under a state of emergency tonight with 23 million people under flood watches across New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. New York's governor is saying this is not an ordinary rainfall, calling it historic. Numerous cars have been stranded on flooded urban streets and roads, some drivers in need of rescue. Subways and suburban rail trains stopped after water flooded tracks, and flight disruptions at the region's 3 major airports rippling across the country tonight. Up to 8 inches of rain have fallen in the New York area since last night, some areas bracing for double-digit rainfall amounts before it's all over.